Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to today's video, which is going to be the next episode in my Makeup Dilemmas series where I'm helping you, or trying my best, to give you guys advice on your makeup dilemmas, your struggles, your problems, your questions. So without further ado, let's get started. So as always, thank you so much for sending me in your makeup dilemmas. If you want to be part of a future episode of this series, you need to be following me on Instagram and just respond to my call when I ask for your makeup dilemmas for the next episode. As usual with this series, I will try and do as many as I possibly can before my camera dies. However, I did get a few repeat questions that we've covered in previous episodes of this series. I always get questions about mascara transferring and smudging. We have done that in previous episodes. So if you're wondering why I didn't answer your question, if it is one we've covered in a previous episode, then you can find the answer in those for you. There is a playlist of these and you can kind of see from the thumbnail what we are answering in each one of them. So hopefully that helps. So kicking us off, Gus Snail 1. My foundation matches and I think it's the right undertone, but I get ashy around my mouth. That sounds like a problem to be solved by color correcting as opposed to foundation. That will probably be your best bet. I've seen lots of tutorials videos. Jackie Ina's got some great ones. I always see her color correcting around her mouth. So that might be something to check out. Have a look at those videos about color correcting for ashier areas. That's not something that personally I am dealing with, so I can't give you specific advice on that, but I do know that that is something I see a lot of people using color correction before foundation in those areas, so check that out. Leo says, all lipstick seems to dry my lips no matter what I've tried. One thing about lipstick is I feel like there are very few lipsticks that don't dry lips at all. At all. Typically it'll be the balmy ones, but that don't. But even those can do it. You know, really I feel like lips with lip balm on is always less dry than any other kind of lip product on your lips. It might be worth trying a lip mask before a hydrating formula of lipstick. It might be that you've got especially dry lips, exfoliating and using a mask regularly, but using a mask underneath lipsticks has really helped me, especially with more matte, more drying formulas. That might be something to try. Life and Stuff 20 says, is finding the perfect foundation just trial and error? It seems impossible to find your holy grail. So yes, the short answer is yes, it is a lot of trial and error. A lot of, I would say it's helpful to find creators who have the same skin type as you, similar preferences when it comes to foundation, so coverage, finish, all of that stuff, and a similar age. And look at what are their holy grails. What foundations do you think look beautiful on them? That do they love? And try those and start there. But yes, we are all so different. Even if you are the same age as someone with the same skin type, foundations can still work differently. You know, it's not going to be exactly the same skin type in all of the areas to the same level. It's quite unlikely. And so it is just about trial and error, and to save money, lots of samples rather than buying hundreds and hundreds of foundations, which are quite an expensive makeup item. Try and work out even those foundations that you didn't get along with. What did you like about them? You know, was it the coverage? So yes, you really like the coverage, but the finish wasn't for you. So you know that you like that coverage, whether it's a light sheer coverage or it's a full coverage, but you weren't really sure about the matte finish. And just narrow it down and try foundations that tick more of your boxes on paper and go down that route. Find people who have a similar preference to yourself and what foundations they're loving. But yes, it is about one, having, I think, realistic expectations. A foundation is not going to change your life. A foundation isn't going to miraculously, you know, heal all of our skincare issues or all of our skin's problems. Some of them are going to be more flattering than others, but they don't work miracles. You know, they're not going to rewind our clocks 30 years. They have limits. you know, unfortunately. But yes, I think it is just a bit of trial and error, finding what you like, what works for you, and kind of narrowing it down that way. Stacey B says how to select the best primer to go under different foundations so they don't peel. So the best thing to do is to ensure that they have the same makeup, essentially. So whether you are, if you're using a water-based foundation, a water-based primer, silicone-based foundation, silicone-based primer, you see where this pattern is going. But it's also about skincare. You know, I have had primers that I know work with the foundation and don't make it peel, don't separate, anything like that, but I'll use a different moisturizer that day and will have a problem. So also consider your skincare, and it's not necessarily about the ingredients, but some skincare, particularly moisturizers and SPFs, just don't work into the skin. They sit on top of the skin and they're still there, and maybe your primer can handle it, but your foundation can't, and it's just all too much mixing together on the top of the skin. So if you're still having an issue with a primer you know gets along with that foundation, usually have a look at your skincare, make sure you're also leaving enough time between skincare and primer and foundation. The more time the better. But yeah, if you're just looking for the equation that should work most of the time, it's going to be about what the base of that product is. Is it water? Is it silicone? Is it oil based? And keep them the same, because as we know, for example, water and oil don't play nicely together. So Lysad says, base for vacation where it is very humid, but I want a light coverage look. I think a lot of my favourites for more hot, humid weather, Lisa Eldridge is excellent in that sort of weather. It can be a lighter coverage foundation. If you want a really sheer foundation, just mix it in with your moisturizer or your primer or something like that. I would really recommend as well something like the Chanel Waterfresh Le Beige tint, because again, it's so sheer that any sort of wear isn't going to be as dramatic as something that has a bit more coverage. That's done very well for me in hotter, humid weather. Take a really good setting spray as well, something like the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless setting spray. That has really surprised me in how well makeup has dealt under extreme conditions, extreme weather conditions at both ends of the spectrum with that setting spray over the top. The Lisa Eldridge is excellent. And I also found the Tom Ford Stick Foundation to work very, very well in hotter, more humid weather. And I know my friend Morgan Turner, who lives in Miami, so a much hotter, more humid environment, she swears by that foundation stick. So that is another one that is very easy to get as much or as little coverage as you want, you know, using a sponge and thinning it out. So those are a few of my recommendations. Lisa Eldridge, the Chanel Waterfresh Le Beige if you want something really, really sheer, or the Tom Ford Stick Foundation, which is also very travel friendly. London Girl Lifts says, I have curly eyebrow hairs which won't behave. I've said it before and I'll say it again. 2 words, brow lamination. It will change your life. Mine are exactly the same. Very curly. No brow gel or product has ever kept them in place or, you know, allowed me to just style my brows and keep them however I want to style them before I had my brows laminated. My brows now are like 10 weeks. I don't even know how many weeks. Let me count. Bear with. 11 weeks. It's actually been 11 weeks since I had my brows laminated. So the lamination has all gone now, and I'm due, you know, to have them overdue, in fact, to have them done again. But they are still working with my brow gel because I have them laminated. It just takes the edge off how stubborn and difficult and curly they are. Even when my lamination has long run out, they are now really manageable. I don't have to do anything or use any hold product on my brows for the first 3 or 4 weeks after I've had them laminated. But then before I had my brows laminated, whatever gel I used did nothing, wouldn't stay, wouldn't work, wouldn't hold my brows. Now I have them laminated, you know, 6, 8, 10 weeks after I've had that done. Brow gels now work for me like they work for other people, just with their natural brows. So I would 100% recommend doing it. It's life-changing if you've got very stubborn, difficult brows. Raj says, setting concealer with a powder that doesn't look heavy under my eyes and cakey. I mean, you know how much I love the Pat McGrath setting powder. I've used that for many, many years. Very, very light, very flattering under your eyes. If you've tried that and it didn't work for you, my new favorite is the Givenchy Prisma Libre powder, lighter than air. So flattering, so smoothing and mattifying under that area. Those two are my absolute go-tos. Tambercat says, online foundation matching is such a nightmare. Any tips? I have so many. Okay, I have so many. I've been doing this for years. I've said to you guys before, I don't live near anywhere that stocks a lot of the major or main foundation brands that I would use. So over the years, I have got it down to a fine art, okay? I am always able to pick like the best shade for me based on what I can see and work out online. I have so many steps, so many tips. It's a whole separate video. If you guys are interested in me doing a renewed, because I did one years ago, but I got a lot more tips now and it's a lot more up to date. I think that video is like 5 or 6 years old now. So I feel like I could redo that, bring it up to date with all of my tips and tricks and methods that I use to find my perfect shade online. If you think that would be helpful, let me know down below, because I have so many. It's a whole video. Crazy Fletcher says, I need a good glowy foundation with skincare that allow texture. So I think you mean that is flattering on texture. A lot of foundations have skincare claims in them these days. I personally don't look for foundations with skincare claims, because if you're using SPF, which you should be, if you're using a primer, then a foundation, that skincare is not going to do anything. It's not going to be effective, and it's not going to have enough of the skincare ingredients within a foundation really to be effective. So I wouldn't worry so much about skincare in foundation. However, if you really want it, that is your call. That is completely up to you. That's just my feelings about it. You're allowed to have different ones. La Mer are excellent at having a lot of skincare ingredients in their foundations. That's kind of their go-to thing. Their foundation that I know and love is quite a natural finish. It might not be glowy enough for you. Another one is the Chanel No. 1 foundation. That is nice and glowy, gorgeous, very flattering on texture, beautiful, and has their red camellia skincare in there. So those are a couple of my favorites that I know have skincare in. Shiseido make gorgeous glowy foundations with usually lots of SPF and skincare ingredients in there as well. So those are some of my favorite brands and foundations to try. Vegas 9 says, I fluctuate between not wanting to wear anything but barely their makeup to a full face. This is not a problem. There is no, I see no problem here. I'm exactly the same. I am either looking like I just rolled out of bed, and I probably did, or I have a full beat, full glam. I don't really do in between very often either, to be honest. I just can't be bothered. And I'm either in the mood to like spend an hour doing this makeup, or to spend 2 minutes just putting lip balm on, and I rarely go in between. There's no problem with that. You do whatever you like, whatever takes your fancy. Mrs. Liz Gray says, I want a full set of everything I buy, one in each colour, despite not having time to use it all. We're going down a dangerous path here, Mrs. Liz Gray. Okay, be careful. There's no need for that. There's no need for that. I think this temptation / need to buy like an entire collection of something comes from or stems from us watching like YouTube content where creators have either purchased or most of the time been gifted every shade in a collection, because the brands want us to do, you know, lip swatching, for example, videos or swatches to help promote and sell their product, and to help people decide which shades they want and need, and how they look on the lips and how they might look on someone with a similar skin tone. No one should feel the need to go out and buy all of them. A lot of the time we get gifted them. We don't have to pay for them. That's how come we can have every shade in the collection. It's a very dangerous route, because you're probably not even going to like all of the shades in the collection. Some of them, for example, if I get a load of lipsticks in a collection. Some of them are going to be too light for me. Some are going to just not be my preference. Some of them are not going to look good with my undertone. Rein that in. There's no need. Don't, you know, save up for the ones that you really like, that you know are different to that you have, are different to the ones that you've, you know, got drawers full already, that are going to suit you, that you're going to get joy and love out of. Don't just buy them to have a full set. Where are you going to put it all? You know, I'm going to run out of room. Anne says double chin contour looks like unblended to dark foundation with a ring of shame. I mean, this is one of those things that we probably see a lot of creators doing in videos that just is not going to look natural and good in real life, in natural daylight for most people. You know, that is a tricky thing to pull off. It's tricky to pull off, and it will always look great on Instagram with a filter on and from a certain angle with professional lighting, but how that looks in person in natural daylight, if done by someone who's not a professional makeup artist, it's not usually going to be the same thing, okay? Don't feel like you need to do that. Don't feel like you need to hide parts of your body or parts of your face. It's one of those things that we can all get tricked into seeing people do online and thinking, oh my God, that looks so good. And it's just not going to look the same in reality on most of us when we've done it ourselves, okay? I just wouldn't bother with it. It's very, very tricky. It's not going to look the same in person as it will in an Instagram video. And it's one of those things that you think, oh, this looks like better. It's going to make my face look better and more sculpted. But if you get it wrong, it's going to look way worse than you looked without it. So, you know, just save yourself some time in the morning. That would be my recommendation. Dorothy says, I can't find a foundation. Who jumped on my grave? Dorothy says, I can't find a foundation to match both my face and my neck. My face is a little more red. Should I match my face or my neck? My neck is shade 1, my face shade 2 in Lisa Eldridge. It's completely up to you what you match. When I am in summer, my chest will be much more tan than my face, and my neck is always even lighter than my face because it's in the shade of my chin. And also I do a lot of SPF 50 on my face every day, all year round. And I do use SPF on my body if I'm outside a lot, but usually not as high and not every single day. I do let the sun touch my bod. I just need it. I need the vitamin D. But I am very careful with my face. So my body is always much darker. So I like everything to look like I'm one person. So I will usually match to my body because obviously you're going to cover your face. And if I match my face, I know some people actually tell me I should do this and think this is the best thing for me to do. In the summer, my face will be like an NC25 and my body an NC40. And if I was to put a full coverage NC25 foundation on my face, I would look unhinged. I'd look insane. People would point and laugh in the street. Children might even run away. We don't know. It wouldn't be the right choice for me. I like everything to kind of match up, but I also find that if I go as dark with my foundation as my body, that can then look a little too dark and it's a struggle. I have to paint my entire neck and colour everything in, ears, back of the neck, everything. So I kind of go in between my face and my body in the summer. Everything is never all one colour and all one undertone. It's about a choice. Do you feel it looks better, more flattering to match your face or to match your neck or your body? It's really personal preference. I personally choose to match my body so that everything looks like uniform and everything matches and it's easy to blend everything into one. You know, if you're going to wear a turtleneck, you could do whatever you like. No one knows what's going on down there. But it is personal preference. Lots of people prefer to match their face, some people neck, some people body. It is personal preference. My preference is to match my bod because there usually is a bigger difference between the two, and that just helps everything look seamless and more natural. Jess Walker says, I have oily skin, but I love a dewy foundation. Any recommendations for glowy bases with lasting power? I find that more sort of like satin luminous or luminous matte foundations have way better lasting power than most like dewy foundations. And I would think a good option for you, I don't have oily skin, so I'm not an expert on this, but what I would suggest is maybe using, you know, really hydrating skincare and then going for like a satin foundation, which with your natural oils coming through is going to look dewier and glowier on you than it would on myself with a normal skin type anyway. So something like the Shiseido Radiant Lifting that wears very well, something like the Tom Ford Foundation Stick wears very, very well. For me, again, seek out people with oily skin types and watch their foundation reviews, because how a foundation wears on me with normal skin, not really challenging a foundation's wear very much, is not going to wear the same as it would on someone with very oily skin. So I would watch a lot of oily skin foundation reviews and have a look at how that looks throughout the day. But definitely go for something a hair less glowy, so that your natural oils are doing a bit of the glow for you. Because if you start off with a dewy foundation, it's going to get even shinier and glowier throughout the day. Let your oils work with your oils. Okay, love them. They're your natural glow. Work with them and let them add the glow that you want to your foundation. That just think it looks so beautiful. I'm actually jealous of oily skin girls. Okay, you age better, and you can put a matte foundation on and still have some life to your skin, whereas I look like a piece of paper. So, you know, the grass is always greener, isn't it? Jean Marie says, I cannot make my lipstick look nice. Unless I wear a nude or gloss, I look like a sad clown. Don't talk about yourself that way. You look beautiful and glorious. I don't know what you mean by a sad clown. Do you have a lip that is like downturned? Because I would highly recommend trying liners, or even something like the Nars lip pencils. So they're lipstick pencils. That will help you sort of add your definition so that your lips don't look so downturned. If that's what you mean, it gives you some definition to your lip line. Try that a little bit, try a bit of trial and error. Sometimes you think colours aren't going to suit you or aren't going to work for you, but I would definitely give lip liner a go. That really makes a big difference once you start losing lip volume and lip definition. That can make a huge difference. So I would really recommend giving those a go and just playing around with colours. You look glorious. Don't say things to yourself that you wouldn't say to somebody else, because it hurts us. And it hurts me when you're mean to yourself. Stop it. Don't make me come down there. Nikki D says, how do you use loose powder without it going everywhere? You don't. It's going to. There are definitely levels of this, okay? The Pat McGrath loose powder, who remembers when I tried to use that? Who remembers using that themselves? Because literally, even if it stayed in my drawer the correct way up, somehow the next time I would come to use it, it will have exploded everywhere, and you open it and it's just, you can't breathe and it's all over the shop. So there are definitely levels of loose powders, and it all comes down to the packaging and how well it is packaged, and to keep the majority of the product within and not in the lid. I really like using my makeup sponge with my loose powders. So I will keep the loose powder compact closed, turn it upside down, give it a whack on the bottom, turn it the right way up, another whack so that the powder goes back into the little net, and then open it. And I always find with my Givenchy loose powder, there's a tiny perfect amount in the lid, and that I keep that contained really nicely with the sponge, because it's kind of more compacted when you push your sponge onto that loose powder, and you're just pressing it under your eyes, and it really doesn't go anywhere. As if you're using a brush, you're sort of kicking it all up and dusting it about the place. It's going to be messier. So I would recommend using a sponge or one of those little puffs. But somebody tell me how you clean them, because that's why I'm put off. How do you clean a makeup puff, or do you just use it a certain number of times and throw it away? What's the secret? Let me know. Lady Badger says, how do you avoid wanting to buy all of the new makeup? Here's the thing. That's just my personality, to be honest. I am not a hoarder. I get stressed and I don't like having a lot of anything. I don't have a huge number of shoes. I mean, my husband thinks I do, but I don't, okay? That's my story and I'm sticking to it. I don't have a huge number of handbags. I don't have huge numbers of anything because I can't stand it. It makes me feel like overwhelmed and I don't like clutter. I'm forever decluttering everything. And early on when I started my makeup channel here on YouTube, I decided this is going to be my storage. Two small Alex drawers, two big Alex drawers, and I will never overflow them. I will never buy more storage. I will never have more makeup than that. And let me tell you, at least one of those tall Alex drawers is completely empty because I just don't want that much even. I just don't want it. As soon as it starts to get a bit much and there's a lot that I'm not using, I will gift a load of it and declutter it because I just don't want that much makeup. And now I'm quite discerning, I'm fussy, I'm picky. If I don't find something really exciting, I don't want it. I've got a lot of glorious, joyful, exciting makeup already. I want to use what I have. I want to enjoy the makeup that I've spent money on and that I've received very, very generously. I want it to have the love and attention it deserves. And so if something isn't exciting to me, I don't buy it. I don't feel like I need to keep up with the Joneses or review every single product that hits the market. I just don't want that amount of makeup in my life and in my home. So I think that is how come I'm not tempted to buy as much as a lot of people do or as review as much as a lot of people do, because I just don't get excited by everything. And these days, you know, I've been super highly involved in the beauty and makeup community for like a decade now. And it takes a lot to impress us these days. You've been around as long as that. You kind of seen and done it all, haven't you? So something really needs to be very special in order for me to want to go out of my way and spend my hard-earned money and give it a special place in my storage. It's not something I find hard because of my personality is so much of a minimalist that I just don't want a lot of it, you know. But that is obviously completely individual, and for some people it's a lot harder and everything is very, very tempting. But I think you just really need to stay away from the things that tempt you, whether it's makeup accounts that are encouraging a huge amount of spending and turnover of products, or, you know, steering clear of social media makeup community altogether, you know, to tear yourself away from Sephora online. Just kind of focus on what actually matters to you, what you really need and what you want and why you want it. Because if it's just to have it, then a cooling off period is always a good idea. You know, watch my You Don't Need That videos. There's lots of tips in there and there's lots of ways to sort of combat overspending and wanting to buy everything just because you feel like you need everything that comes out. But you really don't. You can really let a lot of it go. You really already have most of the makeup that you could possibly ever need. And it's nice to have a nice decluttered, curated collection. I really like having a smaller amount of makeup. You get to use it, you know. Lover Yuki says, how to stop foundation getting on clothing, collars, hats and scarves. I know an excellent tip for this. Someone asked me this a while ago and I had a load of people, I think it was on a Q&A on my Instagram, and I didn't know the answer. So I said, I don't know. Does anybody know? And I had a load of people tell me the answer and tell me this excellent trick. So I do know now. It's hairspray. Not on your face like we used to do in the 90s as a setting spray, okay? But on your collars. Hairspray on your collar, on your scarf, on the hood of your coat, whatever it is. Hairspray the clothing. It works like a treat, okay? Try it, let me know. Also from Lava Yuki, how long do you keep a foundation before throwing it away, even if you're not finished? I mean, it's up to you, whatever you want to do. Me personally, if the foundation is not useful for future reference or video or swatching purposes, and it's starting to separate or look a bit funky, that's when it goes in the bin. That time frame is not always going to be the same. It could be a year, it could be 2, 3, 4 years down the road. But if it starts to look a little bit off, if it's starting to separate, and not in a way like it's just the SPF, you need to give it a shake, but it's really starting to, you know, like get that sort of clumpy look about it, or if it starts to smell absolutely or change colour, bin it then. It won't be the same time depending on the foundation. Yeah, I don't have a set period of time that I will throw them away after. It just really depends on how the foundation is looking and how it seems to be holding up. Lockhart Craner says, I have a light medium olive skin tone and have hard time finding foundation. So some of the best foundation shade ranges that I have found for lighter olive undertones would be Pat McGrath, Lisa Eldridge, Shiseido have some excellent olive undertones, and Lisa Eldridge do a very excellent foundation sampling service, so you can order some sample cards for a couple of pounds and really make sure that your shade is correct. So those I think are the best shade ranges that I am aware of when it comes to lighter olive undertones. Lisa Eldridge, Pat McGrath and Shiseido, I think those are some of the best foundation shade matches I've found in my winter skin tone. NK Bernie says, quick morning makeup is hard for me, mostly because I don't know what I'll wear and time. This is I've done a quick, easy, like 5-minute makeup routine. I have a tutorial on like my 5-minute makeup, and one of the absolute keys to being able to do 5 or 10-minute makeup is getting a go-to routine for it and go-to products for it. That is like half of the struggle with doing makeup quickly is the decision-making process, isn't it? Or, oh, I've done this, so now I need to do. You can't be thinking. We haven't got time for thoughts when we're trying to do 5 or 10-minute makeup. It's got to be, this is my routine, it's my go-to, I know everything works together, I know it looks good, it's how I want to look in my 5-10-minute makeup routine, and these are the products I use. And refine and perfect the process, you know, stick to your products, get in a routine, and don't dilly-dally about the place, and you'll get it down. But you do need to know, you know, even if you put them out the morning before, but get yourself a routine that works for you with the products that you want, that you're happy with how it looks, and then refine it with those same products. I think it's the thinking and decision making that really slows us down, because we start going away with the fairies and having thoughts and playing with stuff because we enjoy it. You can't do that, okay? When you're trying to do 5-minute makeup, you've got to stick to the plan. Don't deviate, don't stray from the path, okay? Get your products down, refine the process, and you'll do it. You can do it, I promise. Miss Kerry Louise asks, can I contour with bronzer? What's the difference between contour and bronzer? Contouring and bronzing are two different things with two different purposes, two different types of products. Contour should be cool toned. It should have that grey tone to it. When you're using a contour product, it shouldn't be warm like bronzers are. Contour is designed to define places like cheekbones, and it's supposed to mimic shadow, hence why the cool grey tone. It's supposed to look like a shadow, whether that's under your cheekbone or under your jawline or your forehead or your nose. It's supposed to mimic shadow and therefore sculpts the face where you would have shadow normally, and maybe enhance or exaggerate the shadow that's there. Bronzer is designed to warm up the skin, to mimic a tan or where the sun hits. So it kind of goes in similar places. Bronzer typically is like a higher, more diffused application. Contour is with that cooler, grayer tones and in quite a precise application location. So you should, if you want to do them correctly, be using warmer tones for bronzer, those orangey red tones, cooler grayer tones for contour, and contour is just placed much more precisely and strategically to mimic shadow. Bonus Cats, that's what I'm going with, says, I love putting makeup on but feel so lazy when it comes to removing it. Here's what you've got to do. You've got to think of it less as taking my makeup off and more as self-care time, okay? I'm setting the scene. This is what I do. I'll put Friday Night Dinner on Netflix on my phone. One of my all-time favorite programs. It's just so funny. It never fails to make me laugh. I never get bored of it. I'll put that up by the mirror on my phone. I'll get my headband out. I'll get all my favorite products. Nice mood lighting, maybe light a candle And I will think of that time as pamper time, spa time, relaxation time, whether that looks like music for you or a program, whatever it looks like, maybe a podcast. Put it on and give yourself 10 to 15 minutes self-care pampering time rather than, oh, I've got to take my makeup off. Think of it as your special self-care, looking after your skin time, and just enjoy it. I have a lovely time taking my makeup off, but I very much look at it as pampering rather than a chore. Try that. Let me know how you get on. I might be creating a monster here. You're going to come back, I know, and be like, well, now I can't get out of the bathroom. I've been in there for 3 hours. So sorry if that happens. Heather Lee Cole says, rocking a red lip. I always feel like it looks messy, and it can. I agree. It can look very messy. I'm lazy when it comes to using lip liners, but a lip liner with a bold red lip, it's the key. It's the answer. Even a lip brush as well to really get carried away with the neatness and the preciseness, but that would be my top tips. A liner and a lip brush, and or either or both. Try those things. That will really help crisp out those edges, really get everything defined. I quite often will go also around with like a bit of concealer. Any mistakes I've made, those are my top tips. Okay, that's all I got. Daniela says her foundation is looking too thick always. So foundation either on the back of your hand or a palette, like a tray like I use. Get your foundation on there. Damp beauty sponge, and when I say damp, I mean you've washed and cleaned it, then you've wrung it out in your hand. Squeeze it, don't be afraid. Squeeze that bad boy. Then squeeze it in a towel as well to get any more excess off. Then a small little dab and dab off the excess. So I like to dab with a sponge onto my tray and then dab all over the tray or my hand to get any excess off, and then apply with the sponge. That is a nice thin layer, and you can always build up from there. It's easy to add more if you feel like you need more, you want more coverage, but it's very hard to take away. If that's even still looking heavy and too thick, try something like a tinted moisturizer. Try mixing a moisturizer or a primer, like a hydrating primer or glowy primer, into the foundation. Make a little concoction and try that, but use a small amount. Use a sponge, a damp sponge, and just start off with really small thin layers. Let me know how you get on. Lestat de Lioncourt says indistinct upper lip line. So there's a few things to try here. Lip liner is the most obvious one to define the lip line. You guys know I had my lip blush treatment. That was, you know, I completely lost like the definition of where my upper lip and my lower lip, to be fair, but I think that's always been the case. I've got that sort of double lip line where there's a bit of lip type of skin underneath my lips. So I have that, but definitely as I'm getting older, I'm losing the definition of my lip skin. What? I'm losing the definition of my lip line as I age, as we all will. If you don't have filler or something like that, it's natural for your lips to lose their definition. And lip blushing, that is the number one reason why I had my lip blush, which is a semi-permanent like lip tattoo. You can have it as natural or as vibrant as you want, any color that you want. You can completely match your natural lip color and just define the shape of your lips if you like. Use that process however you want. That has worked brilliantly for me. Obviously it's not for everybody. Lip liner is the sort of less permanent option for defining your lips, or again something like a lip brush, but that was really changed the game for me, having my lip blush. I absolutely love it. We're probably, what are we coming up to, a year now, and I absolutely love it still. Snow is Fab says every shade of lipstick turns pink on me even when using a balm first. Any ideas? So lipsticks will be affected by your skin tone, by the color and the level of depth of color to your lips. Everybody has a slightly different natural lip color, and if the lipstick isn't very opaque, then it will take on some of the natural color of your lips, will show through. One of the tips that I found if I want to get rid of that, or if I want to counteract that, is to apply a bit of foundation on a sponge over the top. That sort of neutralizes your natural lip color. If it's very strong and it's really pulling through the lipsticks that you're using, give that a try. Think of it like a primer, you know, think of it like foundation. If you applied blush onto your bare skin and you had a lot of discoloration there, a lot of other color and undertone and overtone showing through, the blush would be a bit distorted. You wouldn't see the pure color of the blush. But if you put foundation and had a clean canvas, the blush color would show as intended. So that might be something to give a try. Yes, Swede says, my La Mer skin tint sits on top of my skin. I haven't tried the La Mer skin tint, so maybe it's just not very good. That is something that I have experienced with other base products, other foundations, where it just kind of looks like it's not working into your skin. It's not one with your skin. It looks very makeup-y and it's sitting on top of the skin. It may be that that is just not a great product. It may be that it's not getting along with something underneath, your primer or your skincare or your SPF, or it could be that the application method that you're using is not doing the product any favors. So I would try using your hands if you can stand it. I can't, it's not for me. But using your hands is an excellent way to work base products, foundations, skin tints into the skin, because your hands have warmth that tools don't, and that helps products melt into the skin. It's absolutely recommended to do that. I cannot stand touching stuff. But if you can, I would try that. Just try different methods, try different primers, but it may just be a product that either isn't that great or it just doesn't work great for you. Yale Meow says, I can't find eyeliner pencils that won't transfer and stay in my waterline. The Lisa Eldridge ones didn't work for you. I'm really sorry. Those are like my favorites these days. They absolutely last forever on me, but obviously we're not all the same. We don't all have the same skin type. We don't all have the same eye skin type area. So everything does not work the same for everyone, unfortunately. And even more annoyingly, my other absolute favorites that have been like really, really long wearing and not transferring or smudging for me are all like discontinued. The Milk Makeup ones and the Marc Jacobs have both been discontinued. And obviously we've heard rumors that the Marc Jacobs are coming back, but who knows when, who knows what that's going to look like. So please let us know. Comment section, do your thing, and let us know your favorite eyeliner pencils that don't transfer, that wear really beautifully, that don't smudge or budge throughout the day. Let us know in the comment section your recommendations. Okay, so my battery is almost at the end of its life. We've got through lots and lots of makeup dilemmas today. Thank you so much for sending your dilemmas in. As I said, if I didn't answer your question today, it's likely that it has been previously covered in another video. We've done a lot on concealer, we've done a lot on mascara, smudging, and things like that. So have a look through my playlist and you'll probably see that your question has been answered in a previous episode. But I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.